Hey everybody. Well, I'm reasonably on time. It says 7:30 on my clock, so hopefully it's going well. Welcome everybody. Looks like we got at least one person on. So we are ready for inner again. So it'll be purple on the right and yellow on the left. I figured I would, even though I'm kind of tired from election day duties from yesterday, I'd get at least an hour in today, maybe a little bit more. I know Rob and Ian are doing Trial of the Century tonight, starting in about an hour. So if people head out for that, that won't bother me. If I do run a bit later. Oops. There I go, throwing them on the floor. But I am going to be traveling this weekend from like late Friday evening until Saturday afternoon. So I probably won't be able to stream over the weekend. And I didn't want to have too long of a gap without streaming. So I figured it'd be a good idea to go ahead and do one tonight, maybe one tomorrow night, and potentially one Friday. Not sure exactly when I'd be doing it on Friday. So we'll have to see how it goes. All right, so purple on the right, yellow on the left. Hope you folks are all having a good evening. I also want to say thank you. I've noticed that a lot of people have been watching the setup streams for this particular braid. I've been getting probably about 3 times the number of views, and you folks have been keeping me up to at least 200 hours of watch time a month, which is nice. Not quite enough for monetization overall, but if things keep growing, that should keep improving. Hey, Gwendolyn, nice to see you on. Welcome to the stream. There we go. All right, so it is purple on the right. Okay. Well, today's election day was fairly uneventful. Yesterday's election day was fairly uneventful. Had no issues. I did wind up sitting more than I normally do, but that's due to my heel bothering me. Caught up on almost all of my built-up email, which was nice. I unfortunately realized I missed out on a Thomas sale back in September because it arrived in the midst of about 80 other emails all at once, and I just didn't see it. I feel bad about that. They were able to get other Tama, so at least they weren't stuck, which is the important thing. And it looks like I'm going to need to do a new Tama run relatively soon. Doing the Takadai braids keeps a lot of my Tama busy. Hey, Jet, nice to see you on. Sorry, was a little distracted rolling up, and so my polling place has about roughly 1,200 registered voters in our ward. We had just under 200 people show up in person. I'm not sure how many mail-ins. It's an off-year primary. So people on the ballot were mostly like judicial people. And I should have done the yellow first. Okay. All right. So no harm, no foul. I can get this taken care of. And looks like the office manager at our location doesn't really like dealing with the election stuff, so we're going to be moving to a different polling place a couple blocks down the road for the main general election. today was actually pretty good for me. Not too stressful at work, but it was kind of amusing. One of the parts I had to make, the material I was given to use, I was told was 1/2 inch thick, but after running the part, which fortunately did not use up a lot of the material, turned out to be that it was only 7/16 thick. So we had to rerun it with the counter bore set a bit deeper because they needed the depth on the counter bore to be there. But it's kind of weird. The material doesn't usually come in 7/16 thicknesses. And I mean, I'm sure you can, obviously because it exists, you can get it that way. But it's not likely to be a size that my place of work would normally order in. Thinking about projects going forward. I'm not going to be able to run the classes I wanted to at the Penzik event in August. I don't have enough time to, or at least I don't think I have enough time to get the equipment built and plan the lesson plan and get everything ready to go. I'm going to still try and get the equipment built, but I'm going to keep building them so that next year I can do it for certain. I also have a couple of signs to make for the event. They have a period gaming tent and a modern gaming tent for the people who like playing games at the event. And they need new signs for that, which shouldn't be too hard for my CNC router to do. So I'll be doing that. And then I'll be working on the making the Takadais. Okay, so all right, let's see what we've been doing. All right, so, yep. Okay, under 3. 1, 2, and 3. Then over 3. Then under. There we go. Let's just make sure that that's what, yep, that. Okay. Still a little bit weird. I don't think it's going to look the way I want it to, but it should be functional. And should be better than the way I've been doing it, so that's still a good thing. Let's see. Well, congratulations. Sometime I'm going to have to show some pictures of the crocheting my mother does. Actually, I can probably do that really quick. Bring it up on my phone. All right. Okay. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can get the white balance adjusted. Yeah. Let me try something real quick here. There we go. That should be much better. Okay. So you can see the bunny from the first one. Actually, I just realized something. No, okay. Yeah, anyway, that should give you a good idea of the types of stuff she does. Hey, Kathleen, nice to see you on. Things are going well here. Hope things are going well for you. Have the kids shown up yet? right, so white and white. Oops. There I go, throwing things around again. But yeah, it looks like since Rob and Ian have been showing their support, I'm getting shown to people more regularly on the algorithm, and I'm getting some more organic growth going on. You know, the casual 1 or 2 new subscriptions every day or two. Yeah, she does. She has some mobility issues now that she didn't have a few years ago, and that gives her a chance to do things she enjoys doing when she can't, like, move around as much as she would normally like to do. Okay, so about another month, I guess. That was for Kathleen about the kids being at the end of the school year. Sorry to hear that, Jen. Hopefully they will heal quickly. And I've got a scheduled appointment with a podiatrist, not this Friday, but the following Friday. So hopefully we'll come up with a treatment plan for my bone spur so I can walk and exercise more. I can do it now, it just hurts, which is really, really annoying. But as my wife says, it's the gifts of aging. Harder to see, harder to hear, things hurt more, things go snap, crackle, pop. There we go. Alrighty. Sorry if I'm not as chatty as normal. I'm a little more tired than I usually get, though much better than I was um, several weeks ago before I started the Pro Vigil. Though it does seem to mostly wear off sometime around 2 to 4 in the afternoon, my time. Oh, one other fun thing I was doing while the election was going on is I was helping Rob try and convert a picture into a usable 3D model for carving on the wood urn he's working on. The last one I sent to him, I didn't get a reply back, so I'm hoping that was a usable version for him. I know he's busy and I don't want to take up too much of his time, but thank you very much, Jen. Yeah, I'm hoping to be able to start walking without pain fairly soon, too. Alrighty, so on the top we're under 3, so 1, 2, 3, and then over 3, 1, 2, 3, and under 2. Yep, that looks right. Now we're up to 5 viewers on YouTube. That's pretty good. Let's see what Rumble's doing. Do a quick refresh there. Looks like I got 1 person on Rumble. Be interesting to know who's actually watching on Rumble. Since nobody seems to want to chat, I don't know if it's a problem on my end. I seem to be able to chat on there. but I might have some weird setting. Rumble's a bit weird that way. I am trying to support the platform. I've still only earned 4 cents on Rumble, which is kind of funny. Let's see, where's the start on this one? I can see one in there, but I think that's the wrong end to start with. Maybe not. Okay. This one looks like it's going to be fun. Kind of like the Spanish Inquisition was fun. You know, if you go beyond the level of sarcasm, you eventually wind up with sarchasm. The sarcasm is so deep you can't jump over it anymore. Not quite a dad joke, just a bad pun. All right, well, this isn't too bad. Looks like it'll work okay. Got to be careful here. There's the other end. Alrighty. Alright, let's see. Okay. Part of the reason I'm going from the other end is to pull the first end I was doing through all of that. Would be more work than just pulling the other end free, now that I know where it is. Alright. And let's see if this won't just gently pull out on its own. If it won't, I should be able to untangle it relatively easily. The trick is to not pull too fast or too hard where it'll tangle up. I believe I've said that a couple of times before. All right. Let's see, what have we got here? Almost. There we go. Yep. And a lot of where it's not too difficult for me is simply due to the fact I've been doing this a lot. And over time, you just kind of either develop a talent, not a talent, but the skill set to deal with it, or you get frustrated and walk away. And I'm usually pretty good at keeping my frustration level from getting too high. Ooh, we're up to 6 people watching. Bane, nice to see you on. Oh, thank you for following me on Locals, Bane. I saw that you signed up in the last 24 hours. Thank you. My guess, designer dogs means that they're a specific breed and have a verifiable pedigree to make sure that they qualify. Or else it's somebody's personal breeding project where they're trying to work on either a customization of their breed or a special crossbreed. But I could be entirely wrong. That's just a guess. Okay, that's weird because I thought you were on before, but I think it said that you joined like 15 hours ago, and I checked about lunchtime today. So that's very weird. But I'm up to 14 people following me on Locals, which is nice. I do try and post the um, links for the streams there first before anywhere else. Alrighty, so we are down to only 16 tama left to do, which might be doable in the next hour. Let's see if we can. Okay, I guess I was partially right about the new cross. Oh, it's easy for them to be pink, Gwendolyn. Food coloring. Okay, so purple on the right, yellow on the left. Okay, so I should be doing yellow first. When I was growing up, we had two dogs. One was a poodle dingo mix, which was very odd, and it must have been a very small poodle because if it actually did have dingo in its ancestry, there wasn't much of it. She was a really good dog. She liked us kids. She stayed mostly in the yard. My parents built a nice heated doghouse for her so that she wouldn't get cold in the winter. And the other dog we got was a pedigreed Pomeranian. Not a Pomeranian. Maltese. Sorry. Brain just kind of glitched out there. He was a fun dog. They're supposed to, the Maltese are not supposed to bark a lot, but they still bark. And he had fairly soft fur, didn't really shed a lot. And we taught him to roll over for popcorn. And we get so enthusiastic, he'd actually do a mid-air barrel roll for him. My mother wanted to name the Maltese Jean-Pierre, but all of us kids called him Cotton because he looked like a cotton fluff ball. All right. And speaking of not being eaten by flying things, actually, that story isn't probably all that good for YouTube. Let's just say it involves falconer friends of mine. But I can tell a falconer story that I don't think will offend anybody. So my friend who was a falconer had another friend who was going to be leaving the area and would not be able to transport or care for his bird in his new location. So he was going out with my falconer friend, and they were hunting together with it to kind of acclimatize the bird to the new person so that he would become part of the hunting cooperative. The thing with falcons is to have them, it's kind of a cooperative hunting experience between the falconer and the bird. You know, they train it so that the falcon finds and catches the prey, and then the falconer comes up and dispatches the prey. And so they're walking through the woods in California, and the birds flying above them both looking for prey. And then suddenly, the falcon dives down and digs its talons into the haunches of a 4-point buck. The deer's head shoots straight up, stands there stock still for about 3 seconds, and then takes off running. And the falcon, which is actually, it was a Harris hawk, is sitting on the back, kind of looking back at them, going, "Come on, we can eat for weeks." And the deers just run along, and suddenly the falcon goes, "Oh crap!" Or I mean, you can see this. What this is probably the way it was thinking is, "Oh crap," and then just takes off flying again. And my friend turned to the other falconer and said, "You know, you're lucky I'm here, because if I wasn't, no one would ever believe this had happened." No, the falconer wasn't hunting Pomeranians. The story I'm not going to tell online involved, and I'm just not going to deal with that. The falcon was fine, and we'll just leave it at that. Okay, so this is the underlayer, and it's yellow. Okay, on the left. Speaking of the big eagles, my falconer friend also told me another story about somebody he knew in Alaska who flew eagles. I think it was golden eagles. Now, the thing with falcons is you can never punish them in their training, because if you do anything that essentially hurts them or is non-cooperative, they pretty much lose all their trust in you, and you really can't work with them again. And they usually won't work with other falconers as well either. But the guy that was working with the eagles had one that would sit in. He had a Jeep, and the eagle would sit on the passenger seat and would occasionally let's see. I don't know if that I'll leave that part out because I don't remember if it was before or after this incident. But the let's see, where's the end? Okay, there's the end on that. While he's driving along, the eagle reaches over and just bites on his right leg and starts chewing away. And he can't get the bird to let go, so he winds up actually kind of clouding it on the side of the head, because it's like if he doesn't do this, it might injure him enough to the point where he's not going to survive it if it hits the right vein. And he's I think at that point it was 50 miles away from the nearest medical facility, and because they were out to go hunting, and the bird actually winds up letting go. And he'd been having a lot of problems with it up to this point, but for some reason after that, the bird was just fine with him. Apparently, that was all it needed. But that goes against all the rules of falconry. It was essentially it was going to be, is it going to be me or the bird? And the bird apparently went, "Oh, okay, I know what's going on now. We'll be fine." All right, so just did yellow. Yeah, okay, so purple on the right. All right. Sorry, losing track of my place there. Unfortunately, I don't think I've had any communication with my falconer friend since like 1998. I moved away from California where he lived, and just we kind of fell out of contact. But it's always interesting when I get a chance to talk to falconers because they kind of taught me a lot about what's involved. I was considering getting a falconer's license, but I don't have the space or the time to take proper care of them. The first birds you are able to have as a apprentice falconer is either a kestrel or a red-tailed hawk in the United States. Um, and the reason is the kestrel um, is relatively common, and while they it's really hard to control for their metabolism because you have to keep them fed well enough that they're healthy, but not too much that they won't hunt. And if you feed them too little, they'll pass away very easily. So the reason the kestrel is because they're a very common bird here, and if unfortunately one passes away, it's not a major threat to the population. The red-tailed hawk, though, is much more durable, but it's still a good apprentice bird because there are again quite a few red-tailed hawks, but they have different approaches. But yeah, the Harris hawk my friend was going to be getting, you have to be, I believe, a master falconer to have one of those. I also got to learn about the wonderful laws regarding migratory bird. Oh, that's what I think it's migratory bird treaty, but the one that you can't have feathers from birds of prey in your possession unless you are a falconer or Native American tribe where you're registered to have it. So, well, we're up to, looks like 8 people on YouTube. StreamYard says 7, but YouTube says 8. So, let me catch up there. Okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. That's one of the things they also have to be careful of when they're starting to work with the birds, because when they're working with them, the birds can just fly off on their own. So you got to essentially have the cooperative relationship set up. But if you feed them too much or let them have too much while they're hunting, they'll just fly up in a tree and wait until they're hungry again. And you won't necessarily be able to wait around that long for them to decide, hey, I'm hungry, I need to go somewhere. And I just realized I did that out of order. Crap. That one should have been white. I mean, should have been, yeah, okay. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, I crossed off the P, and that should have been white, so, and that was white. Okay, so yellow, yellow, white, purple, white, 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 white. Okay, so purple and purple. Okay. That's what I get for uneven spacing. I was fine. I just crossed off the wrong one, but I did get the right one to put on. So I figured it out before I went past it. But yeah, that's one of the things about hunting with. Okay, purple for, yeah, purple on both of them. Okay. One of the things about hunting with falcons as a falconer is it's really a cooperative effort. The birds finding for food for you, and you supply or you dispatch the prey in a way so that it's not as dangerous to the falcon, because a lot of the prey that the birds catch, if they're not careful, can easily take them out too. Rabbits are especially dangerous with their ability to kick. They hit the bird right. bird will be injured or even killed, or injured to the point where it's no longer able to hunt before it starves. So it's definitely an advantage for the birds as well. Okay. Next. Yeah, desert jackrabbits are long, lean, skinny, and extremely strongly muscled. They're actually able to deal with predators a bit better than you would expect. Sometimes a lot better. Alrighty. Making good progress here. Thanks to everybody who's coming on the stream. Feel free to ask any questions if you'd like. We're still in the process of setting up this braid, but we should potentially be ready to braid in not too long. I suppose I could try some of the StreamYard built-in waiting musics while I'm doing stuff like that where I can't quite talk. Hey there. Carol, right? Thank you for coming on. I'm just blanking on the exact name just because that's the way my brain's working right now. But I appreciate you coming on. Are you in Japan or in England right now? Yeah, it's Carol, right? Okay. I know you travel back and forth between. I'm just knowing whether or not to that you got a late evening or you're up early. We're actually doing really well tonight for attendance. Appreciate everybody coming on. And I'm hoping actually to be able to stream a little bit more often regularly. The kind of straightening out my sleep issues is really helping my motivation. I want to be able to do more of the stuff that I want to do, which this is part of it. Diane, okay. I am sorry about that. Yeah, like I said, my brain's just not working right on names right now. I apologize. So thank you. Okay, so you're up early this morning then. Thank you. Thank you for joining. I'm going to be on probably for about another 40 minutes. I'm going to try and, 9 a.m. Okay, so it's 13 hours ahead. Yeah, 13 hours ahead of where I am. I don't know if I've talked to you about it on the Kumihimo groups, but on Facebook. But I'm going to be making a warping stand rather than using the warping pegs for when I set up silk on the Takadai. What I've been wanting to do is essentially get a base with eventually sorry, try not to drop this on the floor. Eventually get a stand where I can put 12 cones, or probably 24 cones, since I use 12 strands per tama. And then we'll have a kind of a A-frame above it with straight walls, like an H with the top. Let me draw this real quick. So what I'm going to do is here I'll have the stand. Originally, I'm going to put spools on it, and I'll try and feed it like an even amount of thread on the spools, and then I'll feed them up through binder clips where the clips are on the board, and what I'll feed the thread through the handle because it's nice, it's smooth, it's shouldn't snag, and then have a central point here where I can just pull up all the thread out, tie it off on one tama, draw it out to the length I need, kind of tie a loop around the middle so I know where to put it on the D-ring for the flat start, and then cut off the other end, feed it through the D-ring, and then tie it off on a tama. That should take it or make it a lot easier to set up the pickup braids or other braids that I want to do in silk. But I've got the a spool stand, or spool and cone stand. It'll let me do both of them, and that's going to be the base for it. And then I'm going to build the rest out of wood and, of course, binder clips. So at least it'll get me up and running and won't cost me a lot. So 1, 2, 3. I'm not sure this is the best start for this particular braid, but I figured I'd give it a shot, see how well it works. Since it's a 3/3 twill, and even if it doesn't work, it should be a better start than what I've been doing, where I essentially just loop them all together and set up the colors, and then start braiding it. I wind up with kind of a bulky, loose loop over the D-ring there. Oh, Diane, did you get to see the finished braid that I did for Ian Runkle, the blue and white sword one? Okay. Reading about the rabbits. Okay. Yeah, we were discussing falconry and rabbits and other stuff like that, and custom dog breeds and the like. Yeah, currently what I've been doing is I've been using 2 warping posts set about 9 yards apart, or let's see, not 9 yards, about 9 to 10 feet apart, and because I figured I'll lose about a third of it, I've usually been shooting for 6 feet for a finished braid, and then I'll loop it around 12 times, and where I'm going to go ahead and cut it to separate them, I use a little bit of super glue on each side to keep the ends together, snip it, and then roll it up on one, mark the halfway point, roll up one tama, feed the other into the D-ring, tie it off and roll it up and line it up where the mark is for the halfway point. Okay, if you hadn't seen it, I was going to pull it out of the laptop bag and show you. I'll be mailing it off to the recipient on Monday, so they should be getting it fairly soon. I'm going to be at a large medieval event planning meeting this weekend, which is why I won't be streaming this weekend. And I want to be able to show it to the people there, since I tend not to keep the pickup braids very long. I don't really get a chance to show them off much in person. Hey, we're up to 9 people. We're doing really good for a stream here. Let's take a quick check how we're doing on Rumble. We were at 1, and we're at 2 now. Okay, so we're at 11. Double digits in viewers is always good. Let's see, let's see. Yeah, after this one, I'll have 12 left to warp up, and I'll be ready to start. I'm just working in DMC cotton floss today for this braid. It's much easier on the 2-2 or the 1-1 twill. This is the first 3-3, and it's not really, I mean, it's a little different than just a straight 3-3 twill. So after I get this one done, I'll go grab that real quick. And I do apologize for any slow responses on chat, since I am trying to get this set up tonight before I'm done. So let me go. I also like the flat starts, as far as I don't want like things tied off on the D ring. I know I don't have to use a D ring for them, but I do like it, because a lot of the people who get the braids I do tend to be in the SCA, and they like to use them as belts. So, and I like this as a kind of like a comfort pattern to do on the Takadai. I like the way it looks, and it's a relatively easy and fun braid to do. Alrighty. There we go. And that one goes there. Be right back. Just gonna grab the braid. I'm still probably gonna steam, not stream, tassel, and cut it a little bit shorter so it looks nice. It's a little bit long, I think, right now, so I'll probably do it about to here. Went ahead and put my maker's mark on it. Let's see. Let's see, a little out of focus there. Let me bring that into focus better. I do notice that the even though it's technically the same size, the crossguard looks a little more squiggly on the blue background side. I also, when I do these pickup braids, I ask the people how long they want it. If they want it short, like maybe 1 or 2 feet long, so they can like put it in a picture frame or something like that and do it as a display thing, or if they want something that's more usable as a belt. Or anyway, that's the braid. Thank you for looking at it. I appreciate that. And I'll go ahead and like do a cold water gentle soap wash for it and let it dry before I send it out, just so it's nice and clean and freshly laundered. The person this one's for, he might actually wind up using it as a belt. Like I said, I don't know for sure. But I'll have to ask him when he gets it what he decides to wind up doing with it. That's weird. Ah. Okay. Interesting. I can see the both chats on YouTube Studio and only the corrected one on Rumble. I mean, on Rumble, on StreamYard. Sorry, just talking to myself. Still learning how all this software or streaming software works together. Alrighty, let's bring that back into focus for the rest of this. All right, so lower layer, purple and yellow. Doing the yellow first. Yep, I wouldn't be surprised at that. If you want to know who this is for, Diane, you can search on YouTube for Runkle of the Bailey. He's a Canadian YouTuber and lawyer. And he likes doing leatherwork and hot sauce and commenting on the law and court cases. He occasionally travels to the US, so I haven't actually met him. The next pickup braid I'm going to be doing is going to have robot design on it, like a little android robot, just a different style, but that kind of concept. And that's for a lawyer that lives in Virginia, who is also a woodworker. Okay, I will have to remember that. Rolling pin or heavy bottle against a flat edge. Okay. I take it when you're doing that, the braid is either wet or steamed. So it's pliable and takes a set. There we go. All right, so this will be bottom left. Okay, dry. Thank you. I appreciate that. There's still a lot of this that I really haven't learned about, and I haven't really worked with silk threads all that much yet. Okay. Yeah, looks like that'll mostly fit. I wasn't sure if I was using the right size D-ring for the size of strands I was going to do. Okay, only steam the tassel. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm always happy to learn. Learning is fun to me. That's why I try and share what I know so that other people can learn. Oops. Okay, that did get all the way around it. Okay. I'm tying my knots 3 times because the last braid I kept having tama fall off as the knots came untied. But I think that was mostly due to the fact that the green braid I didn't trim the super glue portions off a lot, and they were snagging a lot when I was unrolling the tama as I was braiding. And then so I cut off most of the super glued portion on the next set of braids, but I wound up cutting them too close to the point they were knotted, and they would just come unraveled. The knot would come unraveled. and they would drop off. So if I use the warping stand, that shouldn't have to deal with any super glue, which will be nice. And that will also let me leave a longer thing where it doesn't snag. So I'm looking forward to that. Okay. All right, so under 3. Over 3. Under 3, and over the 1 remaining. Okay. All right. So it'll be purple on the right, on the bottom. Understood. My wife did a couple of marudai braids using tencel, which is essentially, well, I'm sure you know that tencel is a cellulose fiber, and that turned out rather well for her. She enjoyed that. Unfortunately, the place we got it from got some bad memories. I'll tell you. I've mentioned it here, so I'll mention it to you. We were at. It was at the Mannings in central Pennsylvania, and Rodrick Owen was having a class there, and my wife and I both brought the Takadais we had. She'd because of our schedules, she'd set up mine ahead of time, and when we got there, she was setting up hers, and it was a very frustrating experience for my wife because Rodrick was saying that I had done everything right and looked great for my setup, and he was telling my wife she was doing it wrong, and she'd set up both. She was setting up both, or had set up both of them, and she didn't say anything, but I don't think she's ever going to go to anything that he's putting on in the future. Let's see. We also met Mikiko Tada together when she was doing a speech at the Japan House in New York City. We went there. She was doing a talk about the braiding machine she helped design or did design herself. I don't remember if it was all her work or she was just merely the main designer on it. But it was a nice talk. We enjoyed it. And then afterwards, she drafted me and my wife to teach other people how to use the plate. And she was very, very nice to both of us. And my wife thinks thinks very highly of her. Speaking of my wife, I still need to make her a Takadai. I have, however, bought the wood, and she is getting one out of the next batch. I'm making hers out of mahogany. I think the concept and the implementation of it for being able to do structural carbon fiber braids is just an excellent idea. I hope it winds up. I don't know how much it's been incorporated into manufacturing carbon fiber stuff, but I think I hope it made a pretty good impact on the industry. Yeah, from what I understand about his age, I can understand why he wouldn't be traveling much. This was back in. This was probably about 2000. 2007 or 2008. I think we were at our new house, or this house here, a couple of years at that point, and we got it in 2006. So it's definitely before 2010. So it's been a while, and he was um, uh, he's getting up there in age, but while my wife enjoyed making the tinsel braids, she never wanted to go back there and get more. And at the time, we weren't able to find what she liked online. Though I'm sure these days, with internet sales, that it's much easier to do that now. All right, so purple on the right. Okay. Okay. All right, so white and white again. I think I'll go until I at least have enough to have it all set up. Maybe try one or two passes. See if I can remember all the patterning and the mnemonics with the pattern. I should probably concentrate more on doing this than talking, but talking is part of the experience. It's how I interact with you lovely folks. Oh, well, I'm thinking about it. Does anybody have any experience with the easy bobbins that people use with the plates, where it's um, the style where it's got a centered core and then kind of like plastic flaps that push together, and you pull the thread out from in between, and it keeps from unrolling on its own due to pressure between the two plastic layers. Somebody on Reddit was asking about if there's a way to make it so that they don't or that they tighten it back up, because they've been using theirs for a while and it's not holding the thread securely and they're unrolling. I was thinking using a heat gun or a hair dryer or something like that to soften up the plastic and try and like remold it just a little bit so it's got more pressure on it. Might be a way to do it. Also, potentially, I don't know if it's a thermoplastic to where when you heat it up, it'll restore to its original mold position. But figured I would ask. Um, okay. I think I can bring them up relatively quickly. Um, let me. I'll wait till we get closer to the end, so I know I've got enough time, and then I'll find the Reddit post and get the name of them so I can show a picture of them. I probably should have taken the time to remove the silk ends from these, but I wanted to get another braid started relatively quickly, and I figured it wouldn't hurt. But some of them are a little long, and it's a little bit of a pain to tie the other knots around, or the other threads through the loop when I've got it interfering with me tying it. The spools remind me of slightly smaller versions of the containers they use for solder wicks, um, for electronic soldering. Um, Basically, they have braided copper wire that's wrapped around it a few times, and you pull it out the same kind of way. They're just a smaller version of the same concept. I don't know on that. It's not somebody I know. They were on the Reddit Kumihimo group, and they asked the question, and it didn't really make sense to me. So I asked what type of bobbins they were talking about, and they went ahead and told me. So I figured if somebody on here knew the right way to fix them, I would pass that back along. So under 3, over 3, under 3. 2, 3. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing the top. All right. That makes sense. Just trying to remember where I am and make sure that I'm not messing things up. At least not any more than I've already messed things up. The type of knot I use on these, I've heard referred to as a lark's head. I'm not sure if they use the same on the ones you're talking about, but like I said, I don't know if they're using a knot or not. Yeah, they're too light for pretty much anything other than disc and plate. Anybody using a marudai, you really should use proper tama or whatever facsimile that allows you to weight them to what you need to for that particular braid. Yeah, that one's doing good. All right. Trying not to lollygag too much as I get this done. Alrighty. Amusingly enough, with all this fiber work I do, I'm actually not really good with knots. I can do the lark's head okay, and square knot, and just general tying off, but and I think the half, like a half hitch or 2 half hitches to keep tension on our gears, our yurts. Not belly band, but some of the tie downs on it. But I actually have a knot board I saved from when I was a Boy Scout, and we did a whole bunch of knots on it to pass a merit badge. Because the reason I'm keeping it is because I'm pretty sure that 90% of those knots I'll never do again, and I have no idea how I did them in the first place. Yeah, I understand about the freehanding and having a lot of weight on it. That just doesn't work too well. But I really like the controllable tension you get with the marudai and tama, and how you can tweak the tension you get by what percentage of counterweight to your total tama weight. And 1, and 2, and 3. Okay. Only need 8 more. Okay, so all right, so purple and yellow on the lower rail, and then yellow and yellow on the upper rail. Don't put it in my pocket, I just have to get it back out again, and it'll just be a pain. Okay. Hey, Kristen, nice to see you on. Appreciate the fact you're both here and Trial of Century. The untying knots is definitely a skill that is useful with Kumihimo, especially when you're doing setups like this, where sometimes it's really easy for the skein to just snarl up on you. I've had that happen more than a few times. And I have said it on here a lot, but it's not really a knot unless it's a knot and you've pulled it tight. If it's still loose, you can usually just tease it apart fairly easily. Assuming you have a good grasp of how the knot or snarl is made up. No problem. I definitely understand sleep deficit. I don't think you've heard, but apparently I either have narcolepsy or idiopathic hypersomnia. But in either case, they have prescribed me a medicine, modafinil or Provigil is the brand name, that makes it so kind of the sleepy part in my sleepiness just goes away. You don't have any other effects, at least I don't. I'm not like jittery or hyper or feel like I'm on a bunch of caffeine or anything like that. I'm just not sleepy. And that's nice because I've been sleepy for about 35 years at this point. And it's really, really nice not to be sleepy all the time. Interestingly enough, I actually sleep more with it than I had before, because before I went on it, if I would sleep 4 hours or sleep 12 hours, I'd wake up the same level of tiredness. Now it actually makes a difference. So, okay, starting at 9. All right. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and then over 2. That looks right. Okay, well, that's good. It's nice to know I'm not going to overlap with them. I'm tentatively planning to stop at 9 o'clock my time. Okay, purple on the right. But I may go just a little bit over if I'm really close to getting this done, which I seem to be. I got to get it done in like 15 minutes if I'm going to do that, so I should push ahead with that. Okay. These purple ones are a little hard to open up for unrolling because they're a little bit twisted. Okay. This one's being a bit of a pain. And I'm pulling the wrong end for this orientation. I've got it, but I think I'll be okay. Yeah, that's looking like it's doing all right. Yeah, I've noticed it's really easy to accidentally run late when you're streaming, especially if like you're a little late getting all the links set up or getting the computer you're going to stream on up and running and all the windows open you're planning on. Again, I'm going to be traveling over the weekend, so I'm going to try and get at least a stream in tomorrow night and possibly Friday night before I start traveling. So just so you're aware of that. I doubt I'll be back in time to do a Sunday evening stream, but if I get back earlier than expected, I may. As always, feel free to do the likes and shares and comments if you want to help improve the algorithm so we can show this to more people and get more people into the hobby/art of Kumihimo, or into the enjoyment of watching the stream and seeing stuff being braided into existence, and making it less intimidating for people who want to start doing this. There we go. And of course, I had to throw it around. Yeah, I think I'm going to ask on probably Rob's Discord, since he's a U.S. lawyer, what I need to do to be able to give away things that I've 3D printed on stream as a way to try and get more people on here. It's one of the things I'm hoping to do. All right, so okay. Oops, sorry, I don't mean to stick my hair in the lens. We have 6 Tama left to string up, and it is yellow and yellow. Probably undo the rubber band on here at this point. So that absolutely makes sense. I understand you have to be absolutely precise in some part of your life, and other parts of your life you just don't want to deal with all that. So and judges can get really upset when the lawyer's not there. I think that's kind of part of what happened with it's Kim Gardner out in St. Louis area. Her lawyers were not showing up on time. They weren't assigning enough people to cases. It was getting kind of messy out there. Okay. Let me untangle this. What I'm trying to do is what's called a flat start on the braid, where essentially the braid just kind of goes up to the D ring and then comes around the other side or it starts there, and it winds up being a nice even braid. Um, Depending on the type of braiding you're doing, it's, well, not probably independent of the type you're doing, but it's a bit more work. But I like the look a lot better, and um, it's not going to accidentally untie on its own, uh, or come undone from that end. There we go. That's much better. Um, I can show what a flat start looks like on the other braid I was doing. I'll do that in just a second. This one's about ready to string on the tama. I think that's for Kim Gardner, it was an impressive bit of chutzpah where she was spending her time going to nursing school while she was the DA there. But I suppose if you know you're not going to be able to succeed at the one job, getting another one lined up before you're out of the first one makes a kind of sense. Assuming you don't get cited for contempt in the process. Get this tied off in a second, and I'll show Gwendolyn the what a flat start looks like from the D-ring. Yeah. Missed one end on that, but the next one will take care of it. There we go. And okay, this one's on the top. Yeah, it's on the top. All right. And on the left. So under 3, over 3, under 3, and over 2. Okay, so for Gwendolyn, I'm just going to slide this out real quick. I'll wrap it up properly later since I'm trying to do it in a hurry. All right, see, okay. See how I've kind of like white, alternating white and blue, and like about that much of it is a slightly different. It's a little hard to tell here. It shows up more on the 2-2 twill, but essentially what it is I looped it from one tama through the center and then out, and then tied it off on another tama, and I kind of started up by manually or by hand doing the weave for the 1-1 twill over and under as I set them up until they were ready to go. And then I was ready to start braiding, and it gave it a nice flat over the D-ring look, so that it's a nice clean line for it, and it doesn't look jumbled or messy, because I'm not sure of an easy way I'd be able to do it on a D-ring without doing that method. I mean, I could like braid some of it. Oops, sorry, let me get it focused back for that. I could braid a little bit. I mean, braid it and then take, some bit where I had, for the first part of it, like cut the end off, loop it over, and sew it together. That's an option. but I just kind of like the aesthetics of this. Also, this weekend, I'll get to see how well the new medicine deals with driving. Because up until I was about 25, I could drive for like, 10, 15 hours at a time without an issue. Once I hit 25, after about an hour and a half, I would start getting really sleepy. And fortunately, I found out that with audiobooks, I could stay awake with them. But without them, the concentration level I'd give on driving would essentially kind of wear me out or would feel like it was wearing me out sleep wise. And I would have to drive for an hour, then pull over and nap for about 15, 20 minutes, then drive for a half an hour and repeat the process. And it just was not a good thing. I would almost always have to have an audiobook going to drive safely. But it'll be interesting to see when I'm not sleepy all the time how well it works with driving. And since I'm aware driving while tired is dangerous, when I would feel like I was getting tired, I would pull over to nap, which would get me the occasional police officer coming up to my car asking why I'm pulled off the side of the road. Is there a problem? It's like, nope, I just need some sleep before I'm safe to drive again. Had a couple of them say, well, drive off over there. We don't like you here. And I would usually pull off at an exit. I wouldn't be on the freeway or anything like that. There we go. Just some of them didn't like the fact I was pulled off of an on-ramp or something like that. And I can understand depending on the local laws. But I figured sleeping was better than causing an accident. I hope that made sense for you, Gwen. Or Gwendolyn. I have a sister that much prefers being called Jennifer rather than Jen. So I try and be conscious of that. There we go. Though my wife, full name is Cassandra, her first name is Cassandra. She goes by Sandy because her mom didn't want her getting the nickname of Cass. So she figured starting her Sandy would be the best way to do it. Alrighty. Okay, so actually, yes, that was the outside. All right, so I only have, and I tried pocketing again. I only have 4 left to go. So purple and white, yellow and yellow. Looks like I had a bit of excess on the purple. So all right, purple, white, and yellow and yellow. Okay, so do the white one first. Nope, I've mentioned my wife's name on here before. When I sent the braid to Nick, I posted a photo of the tracking thing with the return address being my PO box, and it's like, oh no, and it's like, hey, I'm an elected official. That address or that PO box number is public information. I think it's also on my YouTube about page. I'll have to check, but if not, I should probably put it there. Not that I'm expecting people to send things to me, but you never know. I seem to be interesting enough that people subscribe and come to my stream, so apparently I can't be that boring. Though I try not to get a bloated head or be overly paranoid about it. Okay, so it's all in good fun, Bane. When I was growing up, I would actually, when people would try and tease me and whatnot, I'd respond absolutely deadpan straight, taking them seriously, and it would really suck their fun out of it. So I got some enjoyment out of that. But that's just me. At this point, it's an old habit, so I don't worry about it too much. But yeah, I'm good. I've actually fairly well comfortable in my skin these days. Not a lot of stuff bothers me. And if it does, I tend not to talk about it unless it's like a fun rant type thing. Earlier today, while I was at work and on the way home, I had fun listening to and watching the painting stream with Nick, Az, and Sargon. I had people chatting in saying what they were doing art-wise while they were listening and watching, and that was kind of fun. But I was thinking, well, I'd say I was braiding while I'm watching them, except for or would like to braid while I'm watching them, except for the fact that that would make it kind of difficult. That would make it kind of difficult because I tend to stream all the time I'm braiding. I don't think I've done any braiding without streaming it for at least 6 months or more at this point. Come on. Okay, there we go. Under 3, over 3. And under 3. And over the last 3. There we go. All right. Just 3 left to go. All right, so purple on the right. Gone over just a little bit. Yep, I know how that goes, Bane. It's kind of funny. Well, I don't know if it's funny, but interesting. When I was growing up, I had a real hard time talking because I kept going through the logic trees of the conversation. And if I said this, the responses could be X, Y, and Z. If that's the case, I would want to respond this way and that way. And no, wait a minute. That's not going to be an end of the conversation I want. Let's start back from the beginning. And so in stressful situations, I really couldn't say anything just because I couldn't get out of those pre-gaming the conversation. So these days, though, if I don't have anybody around and I'm thinking about something, I'll still do stuff like that, but it's usually to get, I work out frustrations that way, say the things I want to say in my head, and then I don't have to say them in person and deal with blowback on those types of things. And I've gotten my frustration dealt with, and I can go forward. Fortunately, I don't seem to remember any of those conversations having actually happened, which could cause some problems when you think that you've said something to somebody and you haven't. Like I said, it hasn't really happened to me, but I've heard of it happening to other people, and I can see how it could happen. But like I said, fortunately, I don't seem to have that issue. Yep. Eventually, I realized that you can't have the perfect conversation. And sometimes conversations just don't go the way you want. I will say that having been a constable, or since becoming a constable, I'm definitely have a lot of conversations I really don't like having. But, you just got to kind of power your way through them and deal with them as best you can. Because some of them you really just can't wait around and do it. You've got to deal with them right away. Some of them you got things you have to do and you need to do them, and you just can't wait around trying to resolve it all through speaking, especially to somebody who doesn't want to resolve, they just want to speak at you. All right. Getting closer. Okay. Okay. That one hurt. Let's try this again. This one goes on the bottom right rail at the front. Okay. Lark's head knot. There we go. Okay, so just 2 yellow to go. Thank you for the update, Kirsten. Or Kristen, not Kirsten, sorry. I personally know people with both Kristen and Kirsten as their name, and it's always... Okay, which one's which for me? I have a weird deficit with names mentally. I've worked with some people for 20 years, and I still have a hard time remembering their name. I've switched jobs about just under 2 years ago, and I still have a hard time, or not still, but I actually have a hard time remembering some people's name from my last job. Some people's names stick, some don't. Don't know why. I will admit, the more I talk to them, the better I do. Or the more when I'm using their names in conversation, I would say. And sometimes my brain just won't pull up names. But it will pull up plots from the original Star Trek series so that I can identify pretty much what episode I'm watching within about 15 seconds of turning it on, regardless of where it is in the episode. Interesting skill, and not one I really needed. Thank you. I appreciate that, Kristen, but I do try and make it a point to call people by the proper names, that are their actual names and not somebody else's. Interestingly enough, when my name is actually Todd, I know I go by Torin, but that's mostly just an online persona thing that just kind of bled over into everything online, and I wind up using it for most things. But when people screw up my name, I'd say 90% of the time they call me Scott. Why, I have no idea. All right. Yep. As far as just wanting to escalate situation, yeah, sometimes you just gotta go with it. It's like, okay, we're done. You need to leave, or we'll go ahead and start working on a new set of shiny silver bracelets for you. Fortunately, I haven't had to have that conversation too seriously yet. I've been a constable for almost 8 years now. Okay, so this is the top. So under 3, over 3, under 3, and over 3. There we go. And last one. We're down to 7 now. We had about 8 most of the time we were running. That's pretty good for this stream. Hoping pretty soon we'll start having regularly over 10 on every stream. Okay. All right, since I'm actually about like 15 minutes over what I planned on doing as the upper limit for the time, I'm not going to actually start braiding this tonight, but I will do that tomorrow night. Probably set the stream for, like I did tonight, either 7 or 7:30. I actually do have to go in Friday because I missed Tuesday. I will get paid for Tuesday from the county where I'm at for the election day duties, but it takes them about a month to 2 months to get me the paycheck for that. So my work is letting me make up on what it would normally be an overtime shift to make up some of the hours. I won't make up all of them, but the extra 4 hours will help. So I'll be doing Friday morning shifts. So like I said, probably about 7 or 7:30 tomorrow night. I'll get the stream set up usually about lunchtime tomorrow, or I usually get them set up around lunchtime. So lunchtime tomorrow it should be up. The link, I mean, not the stream. And almost there. And before I go, I'll bring up the picture of the bobbins in question so people know what it was I was talking about earlier. Okay. Don't want to get it wrapped around the top of the wrong way. Okay. And, oops, overshot. There we go. Alrighty. We are done setting up. Good night, Kathleen. You have a good one. Okay, let me see if I can't bring up the picture of what I was talking about. Okay, so Reddit. And r/Kumihimo. And all right. Okay. Yeah, let's try Kumihimo's keyword. Nope, that's not what I want. There we go. That should bring that up. Almost there. No, I didn't want a Michael's generic page. I want the specific one. Let's see. Open image in a new tab. There we go. That'll work. Okay, so present, share screen, and there we go. Okay. So these ones here, it's not necessarily the best view. There we go. Hopefully you can see the one I'm talking about. If Diane's still on. Oh no, it wasn't Diane, it was Gwendolyn who wanted to see it. So yeah, these things, let's see. Okay, there we go. These things here are what I'm talking about. These are their spools or that they use for it. Might be able to find a better picture. Let me switch back to that because I don't want to accidentally get the wrong thing on a search. Okay. See if that one shows it. Nope. Let me try image search, see if that shows up better. Sorry this is taking so long. Oops, let me. There we go. Okay, so, all right, so images, there we go. I think that shows it better. Okay, there we go. Looks like it's bringing up an Amazon link. All right, so yeah, I can show it that way. All right, so let's present that, share screen, and Amazon, share. Okay, bring this up full screen. Okay, so those are the types of spools in question. So it's essentially like a center through hole or center cylinder, and it's got flat top and bottom. The bottom one is kind of like cupped around to reach up to the top one. But anyway, I'm assuming that they aren't actually tying a knot about it. They're just using the where the top and bottom meet, tension from that to do that. So. Okay, thank you very much, Diane. You have a good one. I'm ending the stream anyway now, so you have a good one. Thanks everybody for coming along. Anybody need anything real quick before I head out? And we'll have it again tomorrow night where I'll actually do the braiding. Everyone have a good evening, stay safe, and happy braiding.